hell can we even say that? Where filters are off and laughs are loud and absolutely nothing is professional advice. No, seriously. Everything we say is based on personal opinions, messy life experiences, and the occasional, did I really just say that moment? Listener discretion is highly advised, especially if you're easily offended or if you're in the car with your mum. We are not responsible for any side eyes, deep thoughts, bad decisions, or sudden bursts of empowerment that may happen after listening. Tune in, have fun, and remember, we're here to spark conversation, not to live your lives for you. Hi everyone, we're back with a Girl Can Women Say That, and we have a special guest today. We have
Emma.
Sorry, I should have told you I was going to let you introduce yourself. We have Emma, and we are very, very grateful that Emma's going to share her story with us. And this is something that's really important and needs to be spoken about a lot more, and the discussion needs to be had. And I feel like it's not even just a normal discussion of maybe if you're hearing this and relating to it, it's also educating yourself on it, because there's so many people that don't understand, and they need to understand. They need to ask the questions and listen and really get to know like what someone else is going through, and not just think of yourself and be selfish about it. You should educate yourself on other people and what they're going through in their lives, so you can be more mindful as well. Because as well, you can have a brother, sister, you don't know, that's going through exactly the same thing, and you don't want to be with, there's actually a Reddit story on here where I get into, but of the same thing, that they wasn't so kind, and then their sister came out that she was trans, and then their whole perspective changed. But I don't feel like you should just have a sibling or someone you're close to that goes through it and then you change your mind on it. I feel like you need to think about that now. That should not be your starting point. If it is your starting point, then okay, we will, you know, that's good that you started somewhere, but I don't think it should be.
No.
I think the discussion is
Exactly, and I think it's part of the reason that, you know, for a long time people weren't all that comfortable to even talk about this. You know, if you're trans and you don't, if you know that people are going to be weird about it, and you're not going to be accepted. A lot of people kind of keep themselves closeted for that reason. And so there's this sort of impression that like suddenly there's a whole load more trans people. It's like, no, there's always been the same number of trans people. It's just you can see them because they're able to talk to you about it.
They feel more comfortable. Yeah, well, it should be. Everyone should be able to express themselves and be themselves and feel comfortable enough to express themselves. And I feel like this is why I feel like this is so important, because it should hopefully encourage people to be themselves more, and also encourage other people to be kinder to people, so they can be themselves.
I mean, of course I agree. It's and I think one of the things I say to people when I first start talking about this is like, you know, if you know, certainly back in the day before, some people kind of thought they didn't know any gay people, for example. Right?
Yes.
And
for example,
there's when you meet somebody who's gay for the first time, there's really only one thing you need to understand, and it's like that they feel the same love and the same attraction to somebody. It's just that they're, you know, the same gender as them, rather than kind of like, you know, a hetero thing. And so I think if it's the first time you meet somebody who's gay, then if you can get that into your head, then you can pretty much understand how they're going to feel. I mean, obviously there's an element of oppression and difficulty coming up as a gay person. Being trans is different, and I think part of the reason is because people just can't understand. They don't know what it's like. They have no idea, and it's really difficult to come up with a parallel to like somebody who's not trans and say like it's like this, because it's not really like much anything else.
It's its own thing entirely. Start off with a would you rather question, and we always start with that, so let's get in. So, would you rather be in a relationship where your partner is still learning, or where they claim to get it but make small mistakes all the time? Or would you rather be celebrated for your identity, or just treated like everyone else with no questions asked?
So, I guess on the relationship one, someone. So I've kind of been there.
Okay, love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Love a little relate.
Yeah, and relationships are a little bit difficult when you're trans because, particularly if you're a trans woman, there's a lot of guys are interested in trans women, but not for very good reasons.
Oh, they fetishize
Yeah,
it?
they
Is that
do.
right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like, if you look, for example, on some of these sort of, sketchy porn sites on the internet, it's like the third or fourth most searched for thing.
Wow. Okay.
Honestly, it's above some of the things you would expect to be at the top. It's like there's a lot of guys have a thing about trans women, particularly before they have the operation and stuff. And so sometimes you sort of meet people and they're not interested in you. They're interested in just the the fetishy thing.
Yeah. So when you said before the operation, do you think that's got anything to do with kind of more closeted, or is that? So do you think that's separate?
I'm not going to say I totally understand it, but I've got an example. So, sort of friend of a friend type thing is quite a well-known porn star.
Okay, love that.
Yeah. So trans porn star.
Yeah.
Now, she was incredibly successful before pre-op, basically.
Yeah.
And the part of the reason she wasn't keen to actually have the operation was because there's no work afterwards.
Wow.
That's just how it works. People want to see, that the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's I don't understand why, but yes, there's a lot of guys out there who do. So when you're sort of in a relationship, you have to be a bit careful about like, why is this person interested in me? Because sometimes you meet someone and they're super interested.
So hard.
Yeah.
Because then you're constantly thinking, do they actually like me for me?
Yeah.
That must be so difficult. Yeah. So you've got more that you've got to think about.
Yeah. And so this thing you said about, and it's a great question because if somebody keeps making mistakes, it is possibly a sign that they're actually not really interested in me, but just sort of,
because they're not actually learning from it.
Yeah. So I think on that one, I would probably go for somebody who's sort of, just starting out and learning things rather than somebody who claims to be there and keeps making mistakes because they're not going to get any better.
True. And what do you say with the other one?
I think it's probably treated like everybody else. And actually, most of my life is like that. So, for example, at work, I've not talked to anybody about it. I'm just them. And I guess people, some people I'm sure have figured it out, other people don't. But I'm actually quite happy to sort of put my head down and just disappear, be a woman.
Yeah.
That's
I guess because that's kind of like the whole point, isn't it, really? Because like you are a woman.
Yes.
You've always been a woman. In your head you've always been a woman. You are a woman. So but we treated exactly like a woman.
Yeah.
Like there's no need for anything else.
Well, exactly. And I think when people ask me, it's like, I'm really nervous about talking to you, but if somebody knows who I am, I'm trans, and they say it's sort of like, I'm so nervous, I'm going to say the wrong thing. And one of the things I would say to them is like, just remember I'm a woman, right? And you won't go far wrong if you do that. So, and if you're about to say something and you're not sure if it's going to go down well, just think to yourself, well, would I say that to my mum or to my sister, right? So
would I say that to another woman in my life?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, an example is people sometimes want to ask about, have you had surgery, have you not? And it's like, would you ask your mum about her genitals?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. So you probably best not ask me either.
Yeah.
Unless there's a really good reason to do it.
Like, are we talking about that? Like, would you actually get someone just randomly ask you that?
Oh, God, it happens a lot, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, just out the blue,
Yeah. And it's like, and it usually, it sort of happens in, if I'm out meeting people in a pub or something, there's two questions that and they'll always be like, oh, can I ask you a question? And sometimes they'll ask me like the most brilliant question, like things like, I've got kids, right? What do you think about Father's Day? Right?
Yeah.
There's a question. And those kind of questions, it's obviously someone's thinking about it. But the two that they ask, which I'm like, oh, I roll my eyes.
Is it men asking these questions?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
This name. I knew it already.
Yeah. So, have you had the surgery? And when they say the surgery, you know, there's a few different types of surgery, but you know which one they're talking about. And the other one, and I don't know why they're so obsessed. They want to know my own name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the other one that people ask. I'm like, no, I'm not telling you that.
That's a very odd one. I didn't. The surgery are like, you know, men, I kind of get that. But I'm surprised that they want to know your, like, why?
Yeah.
Why, like, I put that behind me. Why are we talking about that?
But again, I mean, like, you know, the whole sort of like, treat me just like you treat any other woman. Let's say, for example, you meet somebody and you know she's been through a really messy divorce. Would you go up to her and say, I really need you to tell me your old name, right? You know, what was your married name? Like, no, you wouldn't. No. That's not appropriate, and so it's not really appropriate to ask me that either.
How do you deal with that though?
Well, it depends who it is. So, it happened, I think, about a week and a half ago, and I really was getting annoyed with the guy anyway, so I just like, I was with my friend, I just talked to her instead. Other times...
Did he get the hint?
Oh yeah,
Sometimes they don't get the hint.
Oh no, they keep trying. Sometimes they'll ask over and over again. I'm like, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, like, come on, leave me alone.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess the one time when it is sort of appropriate to ask is if, you know, if you're sort of meeting a guy and there's actually maybe some stuff going to happen later, then yes, they need to know at that point, which, and usually I'll tell them rather than waiting for them to ask. But, yeah, other times I've kind of said to them, well, you know, that's not really an appropriate question to ask. Or I'll ask them, you know, some really inappropriate question.
Love that. That. Do that back to them.
Are you circumcised? And it's like, oh, why would you ask me that? It's like,
why would you ask me that?
That's the same question. It's like, why are you asking me that?
Yeah, because we want to know. Are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you tell me, and I'll tell you.
Yes, I've done that too.
Love that. You tell me parents. Would you prefer circumcised or uncircumcised?
Uncircumcised actually.
Oh really? Uncircumcised? Really?
Yeah.
Mine's circumcised.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Before I was just with guys with like non-circumcised.
Yeah.
So hang on it. But then more recently, my two exes, they're circumcised.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, I will go back and see it's not that deep, but yeah.
I feel like I need a user manual for so I guess I'm more used to uncircumcised guys. So I suppose, like, yeah, maybe I feel like I don't necessarily know what to do all the time. So yeah. I mean, some of it's easy, of course.
Girl, I don't think we all know what we're doing half the time.
That's the weird thing, right?
I don't know.
That's the weird thing. I kind of do know because I had one, right?
Oh yeah.
So but mine wasn't circumcised, so that's why I know more.
Oh, okay, fair. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
If someone was telling me what to do, they're like, yeah, we'll be all good.
So let's dive right into these questions. Can you share a little bit about your journey and how you came to understand your gender identity?
Okay. So this is. So you said earlier that you know I've always been a woman and I have, but I didn't realise for a very, very long time. So I guess, and I think people have been trying to figure out how this happens. How does someone become transgender? I think I'm almost certain I was born this way. The first time I remember something about it, I was 6. I'm sure there was stuff before, but I didn't know what it was. I had absolutely no idea.
When you're 6, you don't understand really anything to do with like that stuff, do you? And also, I guess when you are that young, like you're not thinking about gender.
No.
It's not doesn't come in your head, does it? So you wouldn't put the two together because of being so young, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're, I guess for me, also because it was quite a long time ago.
You're not old.
I'm older. I'm probably older than you think. So yeah, I kind of. It's what's funny is that thinking about it now, I didn't know what it was, but what I did know was this was not something I wanted to talk to anyone about. I was really ashamed. I felt like I needed to hide it, and as thinking of, I brought my two children up. Somebody who's 6 years old and has this big secret, and they feel like they cannot tell anybody, even their parents. It is pretty sad. But that was kind of where I was. And to be honest, it wasn't just there. It went on for decades. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first thing I knew. And it was at that point, it was kind of like I was really interested in what it meant to be a woman. I was interested in difference in clothes. I wanted to sort of, be. It started off, I wanted to be around the clothes, and then afterwards I wanted to wear them as well. But it certainly wasn't me thinking, oh, you're a girl, or anything like that at that point. It was just something I did. Yeah. And that was all I understood. But it was very strong. It was not something and I should say, I really didn't like that part of me. I didn't want to be like that. I tried to stop it a lot, over and over and over again. I tried to stop, and I just couldn't. So it's obviously very deep.
Yeah,
in me. Yeah. That was when I was 6. It just carried on, and it's never stopped. To be quite honest, there has been times where I've paused it, but it's more like kind of force of will. Yeah. I made myself stop. And I was married for quite a few years. I did stop when I was married. Yeah. Partly because I had a fairly serious relationship before I was married. I tried to tell her.
It didn't go so well.
No, she didn't mean so. So I kind of like, okay, right, this isn't something.
That's going to obviously set you straight back.
Yeah.
You finally opened up to someone, and wow, that was the first person.
And it's weird because after all these years of me, like, I was catastrophizing about, like, if I ever tell somebody, they're just going to hate me, they won't want to be around me. And I finally got to the point where I told somebody, and then, like, that's it, relationship over, all done. So it's like, yeah, I was right. Yeah. I was right the whole time.
Of course, that's obviously you're going to think that straight away. Yeah. That's happened, and then your worst fears have basically come true. I'm guessing she didn't take it very well.
So that previous relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, she was as kind as she could be, but it was a hard no from her. Which I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. Some people are okay, they can do it. Other people are just like absolutely not. And for her, it was an absolutely not. But it was like literally, just left the bed and left the house and.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that must have been so hard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you went through that.
So I learned my lesson, and and what I did was like at that point I had a huge amount of clients. So my history. So I started when I was 6. It was really difficult all the way through my teenage years at university, but I actually had quite a few years living by myself. I was single, and I made peace with it, and I said, look, I've tried over and over again to stop doing this. I can't, so I just let myself do it. And so I got to the point where 95% of the clothes I owned were women's clothes. I had 100 pairs of shoes. They were all in this wardrobe in my room.
Girl, you got more shoes than me.
Yeah.
You love shoes, is that your thing?
Oh my god, yeah.
Shoes, yeah?
Yeah. And then when that happened, so that was running up to this breakup thing. When that happened, I just said, like, oh God, I need to stop this forever. So I threw everything away. And you know those big sort of charity collection, like metal things you get in the car parts of a supermarket. Yeah. I filled one of those 3 times. And I love those clothes. I feel so bad. Some of them I still miss them, and it's many years later. But yeah, I just said to myself, look, you have to stop this. You cannot do this anymore. So I did, and that's then a little while later I met somebody else, absolutely wonderful woman who we ended up marrying, and so we were married for 10 years.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And I thought I got rid of it, and actually, that's the words I would use. It's like I didn't want to do like that. exactly. And it's like I was trying to get rid is the word. And I thought I had, and actually that made me happy that I managed to get rid of it at last. But she says.
But that's the thing, like, you never should have had to feel that way, that you felt like you had to suppress yourself and get rid of it.
Yeah.
This is why I think it's so important having this conversation now and educating people, because no one should feel like they have to suppress that part of them.
Yeah.
And be a different person. For who?
So it's so weird though, because I didn't know what it was, and I didn't think that was the real me. I didn't realise that this was much more important than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just something I did once a week, once every 2 weeks, and.
So what did you do when you wore the clothes? Did you ever go out, or was it all just always indoors?
At that point, no. So the way it would work, and this is maybe while I was living by myself and I had all these clothes in the wardrobe, the way it used to work was I would feel this kind of feeling building up. It's like, and it's just like I'm really frustrated and just getting grouchy and
it was quite stressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I didn't know myself better, I wouldn't know what it was. It would be like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But I knew what it was, and I knew what would fix it. And so I would just basically, I would cook some. I would come home from work. I would get dressed. I would cook some dinner. And when I say dressed, it's close. I'd cook some dinner. I'd watch a movie, and then I'd put everything away and go to bed. And the next morning, I would feel so good,
So much better.
And I never thought to myself, oh, that's a signal. That means that it's important to you. It's like no. It's just. That's just me coping with the situation and trying to make it go away for another week.
Yeah.
But then, I didn't know what it was for a very, very long time. And I was married for 10 years and I still didn't know what it was, even when it came back.
When the first time you ever tried anything, was that when you were 6? When you first tried on clothes, or was that just looking?
About six or 7. So I just wanted to be close to the clothes to begin with. And then I moved on to Madden as well. And I think, and this is something I was so embarrassed about, and I still am. I didn't really have a lot of other places to get hold of clothes, and I would sneak into my parents' bedroom and still borrow things from my mum's.
You should not feel bad about that. I did that. Just don't feel bad about that. We still clothes the time. I used to wear sister's clothes. You used to wear sister clothes.
Okay, they're younger, much younger. Quite a bit younger than me, so no, that wouldn't have worked.
Damn it.
Yeah. And I don't know. That was a very difficult conversation with my mum, and she was lovely about it.
Did your mum know then?
When I finally told her, just recently in the last few years.
Oh, okay.
She never knew at the time. Now, the funny thing
is...
You
what called?
My dad called me.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't realise. I assumed he told her, but he never did.
He never did?
No.
Interesting.
He called me a couple of times.
He called you a couple of times?
Yeah. Worst times.
Oh, you're like, damn it!
Oh, God. There's one in particular I remember. It's just like I was in their room, and the way the house was laid out, it was at the end of a corridor. There was no way of getting out of their room.
Oh, okay.
And so I was calling him, and I heard him coming up the stairs, and there was no way I could get out. And he came in and found me. Now, he never saw me dressed in anything. He just saw me with the clothes.
Oh, okay.
So no one ever saw me dressed.
Oh,
I was really, really, really careful about that.
Yeah.
It took a very, very long time.
So you were just looking at the clothes when your dad came in?
Well, I mean, what I would normally do is I would get them and then I would take them to my room. I don't know, maybe I'd wear them, but I would only do it if I knew I was safe.
Yeah.
I was just trying not to let anybody see this bit of me. I was embarrassed and ashamed.
Did you and your dad ever have a conversation about it? Of why you had the clothes in there or anything like that? Or was it just swept under the rug?
It was kind of swept under the rug, and that was sort of the era.
It's definitely a generational thing.
Yeah. The closest we came to a conversation, I was probably about 8, and that was the time I was talking about when I got cornered. And he came in, and sometimes he could get very angry, and back in those days, smacking children was a thing that people did.
Yes. Yeah.
That was what I was expecting, but he didn't. He was he was really nice to me, and he was just he was super kind, and I didn't really. And he sort of told me
what he said.
Well, yes. So the things that I'd found, and this is even more embarrassing, the things that I'd found were things that my mum wore on her wedding day, and he told me about them, and they were so pretty. That's probably why I was drawn to them. And he told me what they were, and
that's so sweet of him.
I know. And then he just said, let's just put them on my shoulder.
But he showed you, and he was talking about them.
Yeah, and he told me that, he was telling me memories of that day. And then, we put the stuff away. And
that is very sweet. I feel like for the generation and everything, I feel like in his own way, he was trying.
I think
it sounds like he was trying.
Yeah, I totally think so.
Yeah, and I feel like that could be quite a big step for that generation and that age and that era as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got to give him a huge amount of credit for that. That wouldn't be an easy situation. I think, from my perspective, if I saw something like that with one of my children, obviously I've got a different
approach. It'd be different.
Yeah, but this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And, when he grew up, as you say, generationally, it wasn't something that people talked about or anything.
Was there a specific moment where everything clicked? Because I know you said, obviously we've been talking, and you said that you wasn't sure, there was something that you didn't know really exactly what it was. Was there a moment where you're like, it clicked for you, it was like, I'm trans, like I am a woman, this isn't just me liking clothes or having this side, this is me?
Yeah, so 2018 is kind of, so there was a load of things happened in the first half of 2018, and so I've been married for almost 10 years at that point. We had children, and this thing that I thought I got rid of suddenly came back, and it wasn't just. It came back in a way that, like, as I mentioned before, I would, previous times I could get dressed, then feel better, forget about it for a couple of weeks. It wasn't like that. It just wouldn't go away. So something had changed, and
you couldn't suppress it anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And people have asked me before about, like, what was it that made that happen, and I had no idea. Anyway, so there was a few things. There was a few things happened in that 6-month period. Still didn't know I was trans until somebody had to tell me. I actually booked a couple of therapy appointments or sort of trial appointments with different therapists. Because I was like, what on earth is going on in my head? And I just remember, this was sort of like, around June time that year. I remember that one of the therapists, I was only talking to her for about 2 minutes, and all I needed to tell her was, oh, well, this started when I was 6 and it's never gone away. And she's like, well, you're trans, right? And I'm like, oh, what? Really? And I had friends who were trans. I still didn't get it.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
I had one who was going through a transition about, around that same time when when that girlfriend dumped me.
Yeah.
I actually talked to this trans friend because I thought, well,
did they not?
You know what? The most annoying thing. More recently, she said, "Oh yeah, I always thought you were trans." It's like, why didn't you tell me? I spent like all this time.
Oh
my god. But apparently she saw something. Well, I told her all the stuff about me dressing in clothes and everything.
I'm surprised she didn't say to you, like,
I'm annoyed with her. I've said that to her as well. So anyway, 2018. So in January, I couldn't. It just kept coming back. And the other thing was, I was always really scared to actually sort of do things. And then, for some reason, the fear faded away a little bit. So I did something I never ever thought I would do, which is I booked a makeup course. Now this wasn't. Now you do get places where they just do makeup specifically for trans people, and you go to a particular shop and And if you see somebody, it's going to be someone else who either understands or they're trans themselves or whatever. That's not what I did. What I did was I found this place in Shoreditch, and it was like a proper makeup school.
Yeah.
They train people for doing qualifications and everything.
No.
And I signed up for a course. They had a specific course they were doing for trans women, and I signed up for it. And I remember the lady phoned me up specifically.
Oh no! I just want to add that. As we're talking about makeup, I just want to add that your makeup was flawless.
Thank you.
It clearly was.
But the tutor was good.
Yeah, she was good.
So the lady that runs the school phoned me up and she's like, look, I've got to tell you, you know, you're coming in during the week. The school's going to be full. It's a shared room. You'll be in front of everyone. And I'm like, yes, I want to do it still.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done that 6 months earlier. So anyway, I did this makeup course, and the morning she kind of did the makeup look on me, and I had at the time my hair wasn't as it is now. So
How was your hair?
Oh, it was very short. So I brought a wig though. So I had got a wig, and I just bought it specifically for that actually. And so she did the makeup, and I was sort of not really paying attention in the mirror. Well, I was. And then I said to her, look, I've got a wig in my bag.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, put it on. And so she did that, and then I looked at the mirror, and it was just like, it hit me like a freight train. It was just like, oh my God,
This
there's
is
a
me.
woman. Yeah. And the funny thing about that was, it was just the way it happened. So I saw somebody in the mirror, and straight away, it's like, there's a woman there, and then it's like, that's me. And it's almost like I'm meeting somebody for the first time, like when I met you.
Yeah.
And you know when you first meet somebody and you look at their face and you sort of take cues, is this a nice person, is this someone I need to be careful of? I found myself doing that to myself.
Okay.
And it was almost like I was getting to know me for the first time ever.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, because all these previous times I didn't really like the way I looked. I never tried to do a full makeup look. I would avoid mirrors because I didn't feel like I looked right. Suddenly I looked right. And that's the sort of thing you can't unsee that. It's just, it sticks with you forever. And so, yeah, I guess that was probably a turning point.
That's a beautiful story. It's crazy because like we was asking this question, I didn't even know there would be like a specific time, but it's actually so amazing how like that's a memory and that's something that always stick with you, and you're like, that's when it's like, okay, this is me.
Yeah, but for me, there is a time, and I think it's probably worth saying. My story is, you know, every trans person you meet has a different story, and some people it's, you know, mine is traditional in some ways and it's different in others. I do have a time. Some other people, you may talk to them and they don't necessarily have a specific date that this happened. That made a massive difference.
Yeah, a massive difference.
And then I couldn't go back.
Yeah, once you know, you know. There's no denying it then.
Yeah. And then honestly, it only took 5 months and I started taking hormones because it all just started a chain of events.
Yeah, it just like, love that. What does being a trans woman mean to you personally?
So it's so I guess like there's sort of two bits to that, being a woman and being trans. And being a woman is it's just the most wonderful thing. The most wonderful thing. And I feel so lucky that I've been able to do this. And also I feel I'm so kind of humbled that women kind of accept me. Not everyone does. There's some people who don't.
There's close-minded people out there, of course.
Yeah,
There's always going to be, sadly.
Unfortunately, half of them seem to work in the media and write columns about it on a regular basis. But
yeah.
But yeah, it means so much to me to be able to be a woman, and also for people to see me as I am. So there's that. Then being trans is difficult. I often think about, would I have this any other way? Would I live my life differently? I obviously I've got regrets, but being I probably wouldn't. I think things happen. I think there's a thing about fate. I think things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And I do
agree
feel,
with that.
I do feel the way things worked out. So being trans is difficult. Back in that time that I was talking about, 2018, it was at the top of my mind every single minute. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I actually don't think about it very much right now. I'm just.
That's good because you are who you are.
Yeah. I can just live my life now.
Yeah.
And I go to work, and I've never, I didn't tell people at work because I didn't need to. Right, they don't need to know. I'm not ashamed of it or anything.
No.
I do have a whole bunch of friends who know, and to be honest, half of them, we don't talk about it with them either, and half the time they say to me, "Oh, I just totally forget."
Yeah.
You're trans. Just great as well. But I feel like doing things like this, it's important to talk about it, in my experience, and particularly if it helps somebody else, or if somebody sees this and they've got a friend who's trans, then obviously I hope it helps.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's exactly right what you're saying. Like, I feel like this, what we're doing now, is very important, but also on a day-to-day, like you said, it doesn't need to be discussed because you are a woman.
Yeah.
There's no need to even say trans woman.
Yeah.
Why? There's no need, to be honest with you, because the fact of the matter is, you're a woman and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like it. I understand that obviously now we're going to educate people on the broader sense of it, but day to day and your life and everything like that, there's no need to go into the nitty-gritties. That's why when we discussed earlier with like the men asking you them inappropriate questions that they have no right to ask.
Yeah.
It's the thing, because with them, that's the thing that annoys me with that is they've done it to be nosy. They're not educating themselves.
Yeah.
They're not doing it because they, I don't know, actually want to learn more and educate themselves and like be better. They're just being nosy. They're just asking questions to ask questions.
They see, so like I say, trans woman. Like some people see me as a woman, and I can tell straight away. Those kind of guys, they see me as trans, and like whatever I do, they're never going to forget about that. So yeah, that's partly why I don't go around telling a whole load of people now. I've got to the point where I'm not perfect by any standards. I hate my voice, and there's all sorts of other things. But a lot of the time, I can kind of go through life, and I don't need to tell people. And that's part of the reason I don't often tell people, because sometimes they treat you different if they know who you are.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the sad things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because these people that tend to do that are the people that are not educated in the subject at all, and they just see it one way, and they either don't want to educate themselves or they just haven't yet.
Yeah.
And that's, do you know what, they're lost, to be honest with you, because people like that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk to people that maybe, never tell you who should and shouldn't talk to, but they're not your people. I think personally, if people can't accept you for who you are, or they want to put like a label on it and be a bit more specific, and they're doing it in a certain way for a certain reaction, or they, then they're just, I think they're people, to be honest with you. And I don't think you need to associate yourself with them, to be honest with you.
One thing I have been doing, and I totally agree, and you're absolutely right. One thing I have been doing is, I'm kind of conscious that for a lot of people, I'm the first trans person they've met. Although I should probably say that I'm probably not the first trans person
that they know that they've met.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so, what I don't want is if somebody meets me, I don't want them to go off and say, "Oh my God, I met a trans woman. She was a total bitch." So I do try and be kind with people, and I try and help them if I can. Some people you can't help them; they're just idiots. But a lot of times, I've actually met people. They've said some slightly inappropriate things to begin with.
Yeah.
Then I end up as friends with them, and there's a lot. I go out around my local area quite a bit. I have a lot of people I've met around the area, and some of them have gone through that kind of journey of being it's a trans woman, said something inappropriate, then we become friends later.
Yeah.
Other people, we skip the first bit, which is better.
Yeah, of course.
But there's very few people I've actually got to the point where I said, look, I've just given up on this person.
Love that.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, like you said, if someone isn't educated and they don't know and they might say a mistake, but they're willing to learn, and then like you said, and then you can correct them and you become friends, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you are going to get quite a few people, like you said, that don't know that they met someone trans and they might say something wrong, but that's normal in a way, to be honest with you. As long as they see it, change it, and then respect it from there, and then they don't just think, oh no, I don't care, I'm just going to do what I want to do, then yeah, of course, then it's something that you can work on, and you know, no one's perfect.
No.
So.
And I mean, one example, I was in a pub near where I live, and there was a group there, and actually, so what was happening was there was a guy who was hitting on me. I was by myself. There was a guy who was hitting on me, and he wouldn't stop, and he was just being really creepy. So I sort of went over, and there were some people I kind of knew, and they were at another table, and I came over and I said, look, can I sit with you, because this guy's really creeping me out. And then I sat with them, and there was a guy on the table that I hadn't talked to before, and he was really drunk, and he was just being a total dick. And you know those two questions I told you about? He asked both of them.
Okay.
Oh wow, you were really going for it today.
Yeah.
And I ended up walking out because he was just being such an idiot. And then it turns out, I heard later that he got barred from the pub and his girlfriend dumped him that same evening. So, you know, he was on a roll.
He went having a good day.
But a couple of months later, I was somewhere else, and he came up to me and he said, and he apologised. Yeah, and he bought me a drink and he said, look, I'm so sorry, I really shouldn't have done that, and I'm not best friends with him or anything, but I feel like, okay, there's a bit of closure here.
Yeah. Love that. That's really good. That's a really good story. Just literally, especially what we were talking about as well. That shows that people actually, okay, take a step back, think about their actions, and then and they're correct.
The funny thing is, if you were to pick up a copy of pretty much any newspaper in this country, it's, you know, I think the Daily Mail was running an average of something like 5 or 6 stories, nasty stories about trans people per day, right? 5 or 6. So if you were to pick up a newspaper, you would think this country they really don't like trans people in this country. When you meet people, it's not at all like that. And as I say, there's very, very few people I've had to just walk away and say, I'm never going to talk to you again. Almost everybody is okay. I mean, some people say weird things and then it's better later, but I think in general the public they have a load of questions, they don't understand, but they're generally kind of...
They want to be educated.
Yeah.
Good. How has your relationship changed with yourself over time, would you say?
So I think I love myself now in a way I never did before. It's really difficult to explain it, and I think part of the reason I can't explain it is because it's like if something's not there, it's never been there, you don't realise it's missing until you see it, and then it's like, oh wow, that wasn't there before and now it is. So this kind of, I lived my life for many years as old me, and it was like I was happy, but there was a limit to how happy I could be.
Yeah.
And I never realised there was that sort of ceiling of happiness until I started taking hormones, and then suddenly that ceiling disappeared. And it was like,
and you're like,
oh my god, this is how life should be. I sometimes try and use an example of like, if you've only ever seen the world in black and white, and suddenly you see colours. I mean, that's kind of how it felt when I started taking hormones.
Yes. Do you know what? I don't know if you've ever watched Grey's Anatomy. Oh, do you like Grey's Anatomy?
I've not seen it. I've seen it a bit, but I don't watch it awful.
I love it. But anyway, I'm taking a scene out of Grey's Anatomy. There's a woman in there, and she was telling a story of when she was younger, and she saw like blobs, and she couldn't really like see that well. And then she got glasses, and then she didn't realise the blobs that she was seeing were leaves. And she was like, when she got the glasses, she was like, oh my god, like them blobs were leaves, like I could see. And she was comparing it to, she literally just had sex with a woman for the first time. And she was like, this is that. She was like, I didn't even know I needed the glasses for her until she wore the glasses. She was like, wow, this is me all along. So when she had that experience, she was like, wow, like this is me. And then she discovered that she was a lesbian. The woman that she had sex with though was bi. So that kind of shocked her a little bit, because she was like, I didn't get that, because she still liked men as well, having sex with men. So, but I was like, in comparison. But I guess obviously that is slightly different, because you knew something was, she didn't know anything was up.
I didn't connect the dots, so I knew there was this thing where I loved the clothes and I loved to feel, so there was a whole load of things. I didn't connect that to being unhappy in life. There was no reason for me to think that the two were at all
connected. Okay.
By the way, have you ever seen one of those videos on the internet of like when they have a baby who's born with bad eyesight and they give them glasses for the first time?
Yeah.
And they turn around and see their mum.
Oh.
Oh my god!
That is beautiful, isn't it?
The smile on the face is like, I can see mommy for the first time.
The emotion. That then things make me cry. How did your mum and sister react when you came out to them? Was it a good reaction? Was it a shock, or was it not a surprise? Or
so I'll start with my sister. So this time I was talking about when his girlfriend kind of broke up with me, I went through a really tough time, and I said I threw all the stuff away, but for some reason I felt like I wanted to talk to people about it. So I mentioned that I had a friend who was starting to transition. I did talk to her, and but I talked to a couple of other people, including some really close friends and my sister. And so I had told her something, but then I stopped dressing, I threw all the clothes away, I got married eventually, and I just never talked about it again.
What did she say when you did speak to her about it that time?
Well, she was surprised. I think because there's some people. It's funny when I obviously I know lots of trans people because we hang around together, and like some of them you see pictures of them in old life and you're like, yeah, there was something there. You could have probably guessed. With me, there really wasn't very much.
Okay.
And so it wasn't like you would look at old me and say, oh, there's something. So I think for pretty much everybody that knew me before, and then I told them, they're like,
they were shocked.
Yeah, bolts out of the blue. And it was kind of with her, but she was amazing. And then like 10-ish years later, I sort of.
Did she ever follow up? Oh,
because
obviously you said,
separate people, and none of them asked me about it again.
That's so odd.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't. But yes, no one ever asked me about it again.
No.
But then 10 years later, when I did talk to people again, it was like, oh, you know that thing I mentioned to you?
Yeah.
And I was there thinking, oh, everyone's forgotten. It's like, no, you don't forget that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I remember. Like, oh, it's come back.
It's back. Well, it never really went away.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I fooled myself that it had, but yeah.
What about your mum?
My mum, that was difficult. And they say the two people who are most difficult, they take it the hardest are your partner, if they didn't know, and your mum.
Yeah.
And yes, both of them took it very well. It affected them both quite significantly. My mum was lovely, and actually the thing she said to me, and to be honest, I found it really difficult to even talk to her about this. And my sister helps, and my sister actually,
amazing.
Yeah, she sort of told mum what was going on, and then it was I could talk to mum a bit easier.
You and your sister quite close.
Yeah. So when I did talk to mum, the thing that upset her the most, and she was upset about the situation, not upset because I am who I am, she was upset because she said, if I'd known, I would have helped you. And
Aw.
you've had this for your whole life, and I couldn't help you with it. Nobody could. I don't know, back in those days, I'm not sure what help she could have given me, but at least she wanted to. And
Yeah.
it's just great.
That's lovely.
It took a while for her to actually get to the point where she was ready to meet me as Emma. Yeah, I didn't rush into it.
Yeah. Done it at her pace.
Yeah, totally. One of the things. So as I said earlier, all trans people kind of have a different story. Some people, what they do is they realise this truth about themselves, and there's this overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, I've lost all these years of my life. I just want to transition right now.
Yeah.
And you hear about people who find out and go full time living as a woman in the same week, and then I know I've heard of people doing this, and then it's really difficult on the family because you go from 0 to 60 in whatever of a second. I didn't want to do that. It actually the whole process for me took kind of 2 years. Partly because I didn't want. I wanted to bring everyone. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to bring everyone along on the ride as much as possible. My wife, for totally understandable reasons, couldn't stay married to me, and I very much respect that. My mum, my sister, my friends. I was sure I would lose a whole load of friends over this and not lose contact with family. Actually, that didn't happen. And I think doing it slowly probably helped.
When did you start taking the hormones? What age was you?
So it was that same year, 2018. So 2018 was quite a year for me. So yeah, the makeup course, that sort of suddenly seeing myself in the mirror, that was beginning of February. I started taking the hormones in August.
Amazing.
And
how did you find it?
Oh my God.
Is it like a okay? Is it like a change straight away?
Really quite quickly.
Okay.
And this is something I think probably a lot of people don't understand, that what the change is, what it does to you.
Yeah.
There's a load of physical changes, but for me, one of the things that happened really quickly was just mentally I changed.
Does it help with that as well? Because of your sort of, in my head, I'm thinking because your body is obviously needs them, when you get them hormones, it kind of clicks with your head almost.
Yeah. Because
obviously in your head, obviously you're a woman. So when your body starts to show that you're a woman, does it kind of oh wow, these are they're both aligning.
Oh yeah.
Sort of thing.
So the changes to your body take a little longer, and that's sort of the first year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
But as that started to happen, oh my God, it made me happy just in a way I had no idea I could feel that happy. The mental changes, so I suppose again, it's going back to this sort of idea of living life in black and white, and for me, I really didn't feel emotions the way that I should have, old me.
Yeah.
Emotions really didn't work very well. Sometimes I would get angry. I'm not an angry person, I never was, but anger was an emotion I did feel on occasion. I felt sad most of the time, not always, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel anything else. My dad, when I was 8 or 9, so when I was sort of younger, I was a really delicate child. I used to cry a lot, and my dad had this kind of thing, you're a boy, you can't cry, you need to stop crying.
Yeah.
So basically, 8 or 9, I stopped crying, and I didn't cry for 30 years. Not 30 years, but 25 years.
Yeah.
I literally didn't cry. I didn't really cry at his funeral, and that wasn't because it didn't bother me. It was It was just, I was so used to.
You suppressed it for so long.
Yeah. And then, like, I started taking hormones, and I remember this, like, because I hadn't cried for such a long time, and I didn't even know how to. And I was just sitting having dinner or something. I was out having dinner, and I was just watching some YouTube video, and suddenly I felt this feeling I hadn't felt before, and I started crying. And I'm like, oh my God! And it was kind of a sad video, but I spent a whole bunch of the next few months crying.
Do you know what I have to say? You know, some people that say cry out. I love to cry. I feel like when I cry, like them emotion, getting that out.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it makes you so much stronger after. Like whether it be happy tears, sad tears, whatever, like screaming, crying. Like I think for me, crying I think is healthy. I think that is a release that people need to do, and that's why, with obviously what you said, your dad said, I understand why you said it's a different generation, but I think that's so damaging to say that to little boys, that they shouldn't be able to cry, you're a man, all of this. No, real men cry.
Yeah.
Real men cry, people.
Yeah.
Real men cry.
I think for him, by the way, the reason he said that, it wasn't he was trying to make my life difficult. He was just thinking, when you go to a secondary school,
of course, no, I
crying all the time, we get beaten up. So he was looking out for you in his own way.
I do understand. And don't get me wrong, like, when I say crying, like, I'm not saying crying over everything. I don't break down and cry. Might get a little bit annoyed about it, but I don't cry. But it's in like certain, obviously, like times and occasions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the same with men and women. Right? So regardless, like I feel like men, if anything's important enough for you or anything that you feel strongly about and you feel like you want to cry, cry.
Yeah. So and I hadn't realised this sort of you cry and then you feel better afterwards. I didn't realise until I go through that time.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And it felt like there was a whole load of things I needed to cry about that I hadn't in those intervening years. And so I was kind of, I was worried at one point. I was getting emotionally incontinent. I was just crying. It takes a while to adapt.
It does take a minute to adapt.
I'm kind of
I can imagine.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do cry sometimes, but not like I'm not crying all the time.
Start watching Grey's Anatomy, you'll start crying again.
I actually knew there was even things I knew, like if I watch this film, I'm going to cry, and I deliberately set it off sometimes because I knew I'd feel better. So I was like, watch this film, watch this TV program, whatever.
Let's get a little cry out.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have, would you say, about trans women?
A lot of people go around trying to say that it's a man in a dress, something along those lines, and I think it's kind of back to what we were talking about. That I'm a woman, and there's so many people that there will be angry comments about this from people on the internet. If I go on like Twitter, for example, I left Twitter, but for this reason. But if I was
never actually understood Twitter.
It's
I've never really understood how to
But if if I was to write a tweet like I'm trans and I'm a woman, it's like you would have death threats, you'd have all sorts.
Wow.
Oh my God, I had loads of them when I was on Twitter, which is why I left. Because people just they get so angry about it.
Why? I don't understand. I don't get it. It's not your life. Like what? It's not affecting you in the slightest. Like why would that bother someone? Like
I don't know.
Like clearly their life must be so boring or so like that they're so bothered about someone else's life that much to then do hateful comments. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either. And I think the other thing is they probably never met a trans person in their life.
No, I don't. Just have one more question to finish off. What's something you wish people knew or understood better about your experience or understood better about you?
It's difficult. I guess the same thing around just treat me as a woman because that's who I am. I think some people kind of feel like transitioning is like, it's a choice I made, and I sort of woke up one morning and I thought I'm gonna,
You're not going to win.
yeah, I'm gonna hurt my wife, now my ex-wife. I'm gonna upset everything for the kids. And
oh yeah, because anyone would just do that on a whim.
Well, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
There's a lot of things that, it's not an easy process. And I didn't just decide, as you say, on a whim to, you know what, I'm a bit bored, I'm just going to transition.
And there's loads of stages, obviously.
Yeah.
Like therapy and everything you need to go through.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot, and they don't make it easy. They make it very, very, very difficult, actually. So it's not like, it's not just, sometimes you hear politicians, and then it's happening in the States where, like, telling these stupid stories about a kid goes to school and comes back and they're transgender. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. It takes years. It takes years.
Don't get me started on America. We just did an episode this morning about the abortion states. Oh, yeah. I was literally about this from America. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about you right now.
I hope it gets better.
Yeah, so do I.
But it feels like it's going to get worse before it gets better now.
Yeah, sadly, I think you're right about that.
I've got a lot of friends over there, and they're in a really bad place. As an example, I mean, there's areas in Texas where if you're a trans woman and you use a woman's bathroom, people can actually people can sue you for $10,000 is the max. And there's actually people go around. It's almost like a bounty hunt. You're out there looking for a trans person. You follow them into the bathroom. $10,000. That's it.
What?
That's what it's like.
How would they even know?
Sometimes you can tell. Well, that's a really good question.
What they need to do to find out is disgusting.
Yes.
And they imagine it, and also as well, they get that wrong.
Yeah.
Well.
But they do. It happens a lot. There was
That's true.
There was a thing in Boston, and there was another one in the QET Conference Centre in the South Bank in London, where somebody sees a woman with short hair and maybe dresses in a slightly masculine fashion, assumes they're trans, and then starts causing all sorts of problems. Most of the time this happens, it's not a trans woman. It's like, it's a cis woman who has a different sense of style or likes to have her hair short or whatever it is. These kind of things, trying to police this, it means you hurt everybody.
Yes, agreed.
I didn't want to get political, but
so
much going on.
Do you know what it is? Well, I was literally, but like I said, we literally just had an episode on it, and because I found stories that about real life stories that have been happening to women in America and what they've been going through, and it just literally, me and my friend were going through it this morning, and it just made us feel sick. Like some of the stuff that I was reading, there was one of them was there's a little girl, she's 10 years old, she got raped. I know, and she had to get on a plane to go to another state to get an abortion. In her state, abortions there was no exceptions.
But some of the states over there, they actually then prosecute you if you get on that plane.
Yes, that we spoke about that as well. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Let's move on swiftly into I've got Am I the Arsehole?
Ooh.
A little juicy one. That's done. Am I the arsehole for refusing to call my sister by her new name in front of our grandma?
Oh,
interesting. Oh, okay. Your take on this. Okay, so I, 24 female, have a younger sibling, Jake, 20, who came out as transgender, male, TF.
Male to female.
Male to female, thank you. Earlier this year, and now goes by Jade. Okay, cool. Kept it similar. Love that. I've always tried always loved my sibling, and while it was an adjustment, I tried really hard to support her. I used the correct pronouns, called her Jade, and even went shopping with her for clothes when she started transitioning. Here's where the problem started. Our 85-year-old grandma recently moved in with us after a fall. She's super old school, very religious, and also has mild dementia. We barely managed to get her to stop calling me that spinster girl with no man. Oh God.
Oh wow.
So explaining transgender identity to her is very complicated. Jade wanted to come out to her, but I said I didn't think it was a great idea. She insists Grandma had the right to know and deserved to know the truth about her. So she told her. As I predicted, it didn't go well. Grandma got really confused, kept misgendering her, and said things like, "Why is Jake wearing makeup?" or "That's not how boys act." Since then, Grandma has been bringing up comments and misgendering going forward. So now, when Grandma is around, I call Jade Jake, and use him/he, just so Grandma doesn't spiral and get worked up. I explained this to Jade and said it's just while Grandma is awake or in the room, but Jade got really upset and told me I was erasing her and choosing comfort over respect. I tried to explain it's not about me or her, it's about Grandma's health and confusion. I'm still using her name and pronouns everywhere else, but Jade won't talk to me now. Am I the answer?
Such a difficult one.
That is a difficult one.
So the dementia thing is what makes it really difficult. And I hear stories about people, they have to kind of, somebody with dementia, they have to keep telling them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I think with stuff like this, you need to follow what the person says. So if Jade says, I want to share this with Grandma, or I want to be known as Jade, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the way, people kind of sometimes people make excuses for old folk and say, well, look, they're really old school. There was no transgender people around when they were kids. First of all, that's not true. But secondly, I know a lot of people who are older, and they can do it just like everybody else.
Yeah.
The dementia thing makes it difficult, though.
That, I feel like that is the thing that might make it slightly more difficult. Because I feel like regardless if you do, like, if you still call, Jade and Jake, so if you still called Jade. No. Yeah, Jade, sorry, so regardless of that, it's going to be confusing either way, because even if you do change it, she's still going to get confused.
Yeah.
Because she's not going to then stop wearing makeup and stop dressing. So it's a bit, you just keep correcting.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to keep correcting.
Yeah.
If she gets your name wrong and calls, because with dementia as well, it could be you calling him the son's name, the dad's name, or something like that. So regardless, you're probably going to need to correct either way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You will.
Because she could see her grandson and then maybe call it her husband's name.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
They get very confused regardless.
I know people who've been through this with a parent, and actually, as things, dementia is a horrible disease. As things go further, I think one of the people I know said, basically, it was a trans woman, so she would go and visit her mother, and her mother would actually say, "Oh, you should meet my son, so and so," and it's like, this is the same person.
Yeah.
I think I guess in this example, I would be tempted to just not use the name, because you can usually get away without saying Jade or Jake most of the time.
That's true. Maybe take that out of the equation, and it might, well, Guys, if this ever happens, do that. Because I feel like that's a good compromise.
Yeah, it is a really difficult situation, and the thing about calling somebody the wrong name is like it happens, and I do kind of I understand, and look, I've done it myself, and I felt terrible. But what?
As if you've called a transgender friend that old name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, I hated it. This was...
I guess that must be quite hard though, because I feel like regardless if it was someone that's trans or someone that's just changed their name, because I had a friend or a friend that didn't like her name, did not resonate with her name and changed her name. So, and then it took a while for people to remember, but it's not that they was doing it because they self-consciously like, I'm not going to use that name, I don't want to. They was more doing it like, I just totally forgot, oh sorry, and then correct themselves straight away.
I think the thing is with, if somebody was to sort of call me my old name, it's a mistake, but your brain sort of goes off and you start thinking, oh my god, in the back of their mind they still see me as that old person, and that's why they call me the name. So
I can imagine that.
That's where your mind goes. And even if it was done as a pure accident and they honestly don't think that, you feel it, right?
Yeah. It still has a major effect.
The time I did this was really bad. It was my American friend had come over to visit me, and we were down in Brighton, and we were having a really nice day. And then she did this thing that, like, you know, American tourists do when they're crossing the road, they look the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so I saw this happening. She started walking out, she's looking the wrong way. There was a car coming she hadn't seen. I yelled a name, and it wasn't the right name, it was the wrong name, because I had a split second.
Yeah, split second, you weren't thinking, of course.
And so anyway, she didn't get hit by the car, but she turned around and was like, you called me that? And I'm like, I don't even know why I did it.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the reason. Whenever anyone asks me my old name, I don't tell them for that reason. Because if you know it, you're likely to use it at some point.
Yeah.
So then everyone gets upset.
And also, there's no need to.
No, you don't need it.
You don't need it. It's the past. We don't need that.
Yeah.
We don't need that. It's unnecessary. Okay. Oh, how did your friend? Was it okay in the end?
It was okay. That was okay. We're not friends anymore.
Oh no, that was the reason.
No, it was something else. But
well, at least she didn't get hit by the car.
She was grateful in a way.
Offside.
It's like, I'm alive, but you just misgendered me.
Yeah. So we're going to move on now. We've got a little dilemma. A trans woman in her late 20s transitioned after years of struggles. She finally is living her authentic, happy self. Healthier, happy, more confident. Her family is more conservative and gives her an ultimatum. You can still be part of this family, but only if you don't tell anyone you're trans. Not neighbours, not relatives, not even work. By family.
Yeah.
They want you to live stealth. I don't know what is that.
I'll tell you what that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm reading this. Am I reading that right? Because I don't know what it means. And pretend to everyone else that they are not who they are.
Right.
So now she's torn between denying herself and living openly, but then losing her family. What would be your best advice to give that?
Yeah. So, by the way, stealth. Actually, I think they're using it in a different sense. So, stealth is when, and this is what trans people had to do in the past. You basically live as a woman. You never tell anybody anything. They just and often it means you have to move because you can't be around anyone who used to know you.
Okay.
The NHS used to make you do this, by the way. They would tell you, we're only going to treat you if you agree to move to a different part of the country and start a new life.
What?
And so you would just appear as a new person in town, and everybody would know you as a woman.
I can't believe that was a thing.
Oh god, yeah. There's still places in the world where they make you do that. The NHS isn't quite so bad now. The NHS isn't great. Anyway, so stealthing normally means you're living as a in my example, it would be me living as a woman. I never tell anybody and just live that way.
Yeah.
They're talking about being closeted, I think, in this story. So sorry, going back to the story. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
that family.
Sadly, but yeah, you make a new family, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people have to. It's really sad. That yeah, there's. I don't understand it as a parent. I just don't understand it. How can you put one of your children into a position where they have to walk away from you because you can't just accept that one thing?
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but so many people do, I'm afraid.
It's so crazy. Like you said, it's as a parent, like your child, the person you love more than anything in this world, and you can't accept them who they are. And why would you want them to walk around at someone and they're not?
And you would look them in the eye, and you'd see that unhappiness every single day, and you made them do that. No, that's no good.
No. Unfortunately, it is one of those things that I feel like you do need to step away, and also as well, there's so many different people you will meet in this world that will accept you, and you can make your own family.
Yeah.
It's not like you're not going to get love again, and you're not going to have a unit. You can make that. You can meet people. People will be there and will be accepting.
Yeah. But I can guarantee you, if that trans woman does walk away from her family, the family will be on the internet bleating about like, oh my son left me, and they're so inconsiderate, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You see it all the time. These people, they always make it about themselves. Like, you created this situation. You could have fixed it, but as a parent, you created the situation. The consequence is you lost contact with your child, and now you're the one who's making yourself out to be the victim.
Literally. Yeah. So what we say, you made a new family.
Yeah.
Sadly, they are too close-minded, and hopefully one day they might change their mind, there might be, because I feel like I've seen sometimes you have like other relatives that don't really agree, but then are too scared to go against the grain, and then they do eventually come out and they're like, no, actually this ain't right.
Yeah.
And they stand up, they speak up. So hopefully you have someone like that in your corner.
Yeah. I saw this thing about one of the Pride marches in America recently, and there was a guy who was a supportive father to, and I don't know, it might have been a gay son or a trans daughter, I'm not sure. Anyway, when he went there and he was basically wearing a t-shirt saying like, I'm a supportive father, free hugs, if and he had this story that there was so many people at that Pride parade, not just trans people, obviously everyone, who had lost family. And they don't have their father is estranged, and now they would come up to him and say, can I just please have a hug? And he said he had people sobbing. It's like,
that's so beautiful.
They haven't seen their own father for years, and that's, they miss.
Yeah. That is so beautiful that you could do that for so many people. And it's crazy really what, like, just that will give someone, that little hug, like, it will be quick, and that sort of like love, even if you feel it for a second, like that comfort that you can get. Yeah. Something that's quite beautiful.
So, as a parent, I think you have to think very carefully about what you're doing. Being accepting it can be difficult, but I think it's the right thing to do. It's always the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful way to end this pod. I'm so excited for everyone to hear this and to hear your story, and I hope you guys resonate with it, and I hope you listen, learn, and you learn something from it, to be honest with you, because it's important, and we need to be more open-minded, and we need to be kinder to each other. But bye guys, I hope you have a really good Friday. Bye.